Good day everyone, I'm Farid Zakaria. Now let's continue the reporting and it will be pertains to the third party pledger. Who is the third party pledger? The third party pledger is simply the person who is not involved in the principal obligation. He is not the debtor nor the creditor. The thing is, he pledged his movable property to secure the liability of the debtor, even though he is not a debtor. Now, he has a right as a guarantor. So, what is the right of the guarantor? The right of the guarantor are indemnification of the total amount of debt, subrogation, and also he is not affected by the waiver of defense of the principal obligation. That is pertains to the debtor who waived a defense in the principal obligation. Now let's talk about how the third party pledger will be released from the liability. First, if the creditor voluntarily accept the immovable or other property as payment. Ibig sabihin, is si creditor voluntary siyang nagtanggap ng immovable or other property na pambayad doon sa debt, which is yung gi-pledge ni third party pledger is hindi na kumbaga magagalaw kasi ma-release na siya doon sa liability. Next is about the extension of time. If the creditor granted the debtor to have those extension of time without the pledger's consent, then the third party pledger is released from the liability. Next, if through some act of creditor, si pledger hindi na niya mapapractice yung subrogation of the rights dun sa mortgage and i-pledge niya dahil kay creditor, therefore, ma-release na rin siya from the liability. Next, if the thing pledge is deteriorates, ibig sabihin nasira or there's a damage dahil kay pledgee or yung may hawak nung item nag-pledge ni pledger, therefore, yung third party pledger is released na rin sa liability nito. Now, let's talk about void stipulation. Ito naman yung mga stipulation na bawal ilagay doon sa mga agreement or contract of pledge. First is the stipulation which provides that the pledge is not extinguished by the return of the thing pledge. So, alam naman natin na kapag kina-return na yung thing of pledge, ibig sabihin extinguished na yung pag-pledge. Kaya bawal ilagay sa stipulation na it is not, kumbaga, kung i-return man yung pledge na yon is yung pledge is not distinguished. So, bawal yun ilagay sa stipulation. Next is a stipulation allowing the automatic appropriation. Ang ibig sabihin lamang ng automatic appropriation is yung pledge thing is magiging pagmamay-ari na ni creditor, which is hindi yun pwede. Walang automatic appropriation. May due process pa bago pa mangyari yun. Next is a stipulation for the recovery of deficiency in case the proceeds from the sale of the thing pledge is less than the amount of the obligation. Ibig sabihin lamang ito, there is a stipulation which is void na ma-recover pa yung deficiency or kulang. Halimbawa, yung gi-pledge is 100,000 yung amount. Bali, yung utang is 120,000. There is a deficiency of 20,000. In that case, yung deficiency na yun, hindi dapat siya ma-recover. If ever may nakalagay sa stipulation na ma-recover yung deficiency na yun, ibig sabihin lamang nito, void yung stipulation. Now, let's proceed to the other rules. First is about the public auction, wherein after the public auction, si pledgee dapat i-advise niya or i-notify niya si pledger, yung may-ari ng i-pledge na thing, kung ano yung naging result ng public auction. Next is about the third person, kung sino yung may right dun sa pag-pledge, pwede niyang i-satisfy yung principal obligation para makuha niya yung gi-pledge, yung thing na gi-pledge. Next is about two or more things are pledged, wherein the pledgee may choose kung ano yung ibebenta niya unless there's a stipulation kung ano talaga yung i-foreclose niya. Next is with regards naman sa pawn shop and other establishment. Aware tayo sa pawn shop and yung mga banks, there is an engagement of making loans then secured by the pledge. So they are under the special laws and regulation, yung mga rulings naman nung pledge nila. Now let's proceed to the legal pledge. Legal pledge is created by the operation of law. It is the most important thing that differs it from the conventional pledge. It is refers to the right to retain a thing until he receives payment of his claim. So, it is a right. Ibig sabihin si creditor to. Right niya na i-retain or i-keep mo na yung thing hanggang sa hindi pa nababayaran yung pinautang niya. Para naman malinawan tayo sa difference nung conventional pledge and legal pledge, then let's make a distinction pertains to it. So, tatlo lang naman yung pinaka-major na difference nila. This is about the foreclosure, deficiency in foreclosure, the excess in foreclosure. Now, what is foreclosure? Ang foreclosure is pagbenta doon sa thing pledge kapag nag-due na si debtor. So, ang different lang naman when it comes to foreclosure doon sa conventional pledge pati legal pledge, si legal pledge, there is a requirements wherein kailangan mag-demand and after 1 month pa bago matapos yung pagde-demand. Kapag hindi pa rin talaga nakabayad, then yung thing na gi-pledge is pwede na siyang ibenta. Doon sa conventional pledge is walang ganong requirements. Next is about deficiency in foreclosure. Ibig sabihin lamang to is yung foreclosure or nabenta nating thing pledge is kulang yung proceeds doon pertains sa liabilities. Ibig sabihin mas malaki pa rin yung liabilities compare doon sa proceedings nung thing pledge na gibenta natin. Ang kahibahan lang dito sa legal pledge pati conventional pledge is sa legal pledge, yung creditors pwede niyang habulin si debtor kasi nga kulang yung proceedings. Pero dito sa conventional, walang ganon. Next is about the excess in foreclosure. Dito naman, kabaliktaran nung kanina, sumobra naman dito. Anong mangyayari dun sa sobra? Under conventional pledge, makikip ito ni creditor. Under legal pledge, mababalik ito kay debtor. Next is the real estate property mortgage. The object of real estate mortgage is immovable property and alienable real rights that pertains to the immovable property. So, nevertheless, movable may be the object of the chattel mortgage. So, dito, ang real estate mortgage, ang object lang niya is yung immovable property or di kaya naman is rights na pertain pa rin doon sa immovable property. Ang mga movable property naman is the object of the chattel mortgage which will be discussed in the next slides. The characteristic of real estate mortgage is the accessory, indivisible, inseparable, real rights, consensual contract, and nominate. Accessory because it is a contract wherein exists because of the principal obligation. Kumbaga, hindi siya yung pinakaunang contract. Pangalawa lang siya, hindi siya mag-exist without the principal contract or dun sa principal obligation. Next is indivisible because kahit anong mangyari, like bayaran nito ng partial, hindi pa rin mawawala yung mortgage doon sa real estate property. Next is inseparable. Kahit pa sabihin natin nabenta to, nabenta siya, hindi pa rin mawawala yung mortgage. Nandun pa rin siya. Next is real rights kasi even na in a good faith yung binentahan nung property na gi-mortgage is kumbaga pwede pa rin kunin or i-foreclose ni creditor kung nag-due na si debtor. Next is consensual contract because the two are agreeing. There is a consent. And then nominate because it has a name in the law. Now let's talk about the type of real estate mortgage. First is conventional, second is legal, the third one is the equitable. Conventional mortgage pertains to the agreement between the two person or the contracting party. Legal is created by the operation of law, and equitable is actually pertains to the equivalent because dito na-state yung hindi na-state ng klaro kung ano talaga yung transaction, but if the intention is really for securing the liabilities and have immovable property to secure that, then it is equitable mortgage. The remedy of the injured party is to file for the reformation of instrument. For the form, we don't really have a required form because there is no form pertains to the real estate mortgage. Para mas marami pa tayong malaman, let's proceed dito sa mga term na to or concept na to. First is principal obligation covered. Kung ano man yung sakop ng deed or kumbaga yung contract nyo, yun lang yung i-mortgage. Unless there's a stipulation about dragnet clause wherein future advancements kasali dun sa i-mortgage. Next is about the mortgage credit is transferable. Kahit pa naka-mortgage ang isang lupa or immovable thing, then pwede pa rin siyang i-transfer or pwedeng ibenta. We also have the concept of pactum de non aliendo, which means na void ang isang stipulation na ipagbawal na ibenta yung mortgage or yung thing na gi-mortgage. Pagdating naman sa third-party transferee, it's about the buyer or the transferee who have the mortgage property. Ngayon, magiging bound lang siya and affected by deficiency kapag yung mortgage is registered. Pero kapag hindi ito registered, then there is no effect sa third party na bumili. Now, let's proceed to the foreclosure. Actually, paulit-ulit lang tayo about the foreclosure. Dito is, there is no payment. Non-payment of principal obligation. Then, the creditor mortgagee may foreclose the mortgage either sa judicially either judicially or extrajudicially. Ang pinagkaiba lang actually is yung sa judicially, there is a due process of law, and then dito naman sa extrajudicially is power of attorney or something special law. Now, let's proceed to the chattel mortgage. Ang chattel mortgage is actually, nabanggit na kanina pa, pertains ito sa mga movable property na i-mortgage natin. Ano yung pinagkaiba niya doon sa pledge? Doon sa pledge, meron kang obligation and then kailangan i-secure mo siya to pledge that thing. Yung thing na yun is matratransfer sa third person or creditor. Ngayon, yung possession is nandun sa ibang tao, di ba? Dito sa chattel mortgage is yung i-mortgage mo is nasa possession pa rin ni debtor. And pwede siyang makuha kapag nag-due si debtor. Ang magandang halimbawa nito is nag-utang siya ng ban. Sabihin na natin na bank yung inutangan. And then, sabi is kukuha ka ng ban. Nagutang siya para pambili ng ban. Tapos yung chattel mortgage doon is yung ban. If ever na hindi siya nakabayad, then pwede kunin ni bank yung ban. Next is about the chattel mortgage characteristics. First is accessory, second is indivisible, third is inseparable, fourth is formal contract, and fifth is nominate. Accessory, because it is not the principal obligation and it exists only because of the principal obligation. Second is indivisible because kahit mabayaran pa yung portion, some portion ng utang, kung hindi bayad lahat, hindi pa rin mawawala yung mortgage dun sa movable thing na gi-mortgage. Inseparable kasi kahit sino mang may-ari nung chattel mortgage na yun, nandun pa rin yung mortgage. Hindi pa rin siya mawawala. And formal contract because kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, it must be registered to the chattel mortgage register. And that's all. Thank you for watching.